Most often, creatures we see in the woods are flesh and blood. But what if you ran into a creature of steel and wire? This is Unreal Encounters. Welcome to the third season of Unreal Encounters, where we examine the mysterious and the unexplained, and talk about possible theories about what may be happening. I'm your host, Paul, and I'm joined here once again with Josh and Lindsay.
Hi.
Hello again.
Third season.
Third season.
Yes.
Season
3. It does well. You guys seem to like it, so we like keep doing it.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of weird things to talk about, so we're going to keep doing that. Today we're talking about the Flatwoods Monster. Have either of you heard anything about the Flatwoods Monster?
A tiny bit. I saw that it was a cryptid, and I saw that it wasn't on your list for this season, and I was like, hey, Paul, maybe we should do this one, because it seems to be rather talked about.
Yeah, it is. And I had a couple on the list that I was okay with moving on, or moving off the list.
There you go.
Bye.
I do not know anything
Nothing?
about the Flatwood.
I just know, like, the outline of it. Like,
Why
it
don't you know
looks
the
like
shape?
a lady.
It does
Maybe.
kind of look like a lady.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's jump in. Our scene is the town of Flatwoods, West Virginia in 1952. The town only had around 300 people at the time, mostly consisting of farmers, which meant there was a lot of open, empty land. 3 boys were out one night, looking up to the sky, when they saw a shooting star. They watched as the flaming ball of light careened towards the ground and crashed into a nearby field. Excited, they ran home and told their families what they had seen. Later that night, the boys and some community members decided they would go and see what had crashed. After all, it wasn't every day that a meteorite impacted near you, and this one seemed big. They traveled out towards the crash site. When they were about a quarter mile off, one of the local dogs ran on ahead. Minutes later, they heard the dog barking at something, only to come running back past them, tail between its legs.
Very interesting.
That's intense.
Meteors are cool. I'm sensing an Iron Giant situation about to happen.
Iron Giant?
Yeah.
I guess Iron Giant would spook the dog probably
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's a good dog spooker.
Dog spooker?
Put that on his resume.
Makes me wonder if it was like a dog that's one of the ones that it regularly gets scared, you know? Or if it's one that they're like, this dog never gets scared.
Oh, it's like oh, he's
Yeah,
a scaredy cat. Like, that dog runs from everything. Or is this like
This is really out of
the
character.
bravest dog and it
Yeah.
comes running past you and you're just like, what
do we
is
do
that? Like, is there a bear out there?
The only thing to do is go towards the danger.
With a shotgun.
Go find out.
Yes.
Seeing the dog run may have rattled the locals slightly, but they pressed on to see what had upset the dog. As they crested the hill, they were hit with a putrid odor. There was an odd mist in the surrounding area that caused their eyes and nose to burn. Looking down, about 50 feet away, they saw some kind of flaming object, likely the downed meteorite. As they approached, one of the townsfolk noticed 2 small glowing lights. He turned his flashlight to look. Nothing could have prepared him for what they saw. A 10-foot-tall, metallic creature with glowing eyes and emitting a hissing fog. A large spade-like crown was fitted around its head, and it didn't have legs, just a metal skirt-like structure, with thick pipes running every which way. As they illuminated the creature, it turned towards them, letting out a loud hiss, and began to float towards them. The townspeople panicked and fled the scene, running to the safety of their homes. So, I just picture the guy who turned his flashlight like, oh, what's that over there?
Ah! Yeah.
Ah!
So, first thoughts, what are you thinking of this massive
I'm
thing?
thinking Skelly, the Home Depot Halloween skeleton that's 10
The
foot tall.
gigantic 10 foot? 10
I'd just be
feet
like,
is high.
Yeah.
That's massive,
Or,
man.
like, maybe Lewis. I don't know. Yeah, it's really interesting because it is kind of like a lady. It's wearing like a crown. It's got big skirt sort of thing,
Yeah.
and it's not the Iron Giant. It's the Iron Lady, but it's not Margaret Thatcher. Yeah,
Okay.
I had to make that joke.
You did.
That's okay.
You made it. You did it.
You did it.
Yeah. It's
But
very
no, seriously, I'd be terrified. I mean, enough to say, okay, your dog ran away. Okay, cool. But, and I like how they put They were a little concerned.
Yeah,
Then-
just a little bit.
We're a little put off, you know?
Shine the flashlight on it and it just goes.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
freak anyone
I
out.
mean, it was the hissing of like steam. Maybe it was talking about
Yeah.
like steam was coming out of it, sort of like a. Psh.
And it just smells awful.
Ew.
It's really, honestly, the more I did this,
That's
the more I was
wild.
like, this sounds like a Doctor Who
It does.
thing.
does.
Like some floating thing with a skirt, but just like, woo, like,
It does kind of sound like it would be. It would go with like the TV show Budget Monster sort
oh
of.
yeah,
sort
with
of
like
deal.
the
Yeah.
faceless
Yeah.
mask.
Yes.
Or the like unmoving, featureless mask. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to know what they did after that.
Yeah. Tell us.
Early that next day, a reporter traveled out to the site of the encounter to see what they could find. What they found was a thick black liquid and tire tracks. Upon further investigation, it was discovered that those tire tracks were from another local man who had gone out to investigate the site earlier. There was no other evidence of the creature at the location. Investigations into the creature actually turned up several other eyewitness accounts of the creature in the days prior. A mother and daughter had a run-in with the creature about a week prior. The same odor had meant the young girl had to be hospitalized for 3 weeks. But the most startling other encounter happened one day after the boys saw the falling star. A couple was taking a leisurely cruise through a mountain in nearby Frametown, West Virginia, when their car stalled. They were unable to get the car started again, and soon began to smell a strange odor. The couple got out of the car thinking the car might be the thing making the smell, but what a mistake that turned out to be. Instead, they were greeted by the Flatwoods Monster. However, this time, the metallic top half was replaced with a reptilian humanoid. The couple fled back to their car and were able to escape the beast.
So the lizard people don't live in the sewers; they live
They
in
live
the
in-
mountains of Virginia.
In giant metal suits.
In giant metal suits. And they're 10 feet tall.
Yeah, big metal hoop skirts.
Yeah, or at least their suits are 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
Their suits are-
Ooh, okay. So like the featureless, like crowned, like orby head with the big eyes is like
Yep.
a helmet or like, a chest plate or something like that. Like it's armor or something for the lizard people.
Yeah.
And they just smell terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or their machinery
mean,
just really
Ugh, yeah.
does not have great,
Yeah.
I don't know, just
Fuel economy, yeah,
fuel
I don't
economy.
know,
It
yeah.
is burning some dirty
Yeah.
fuel.
Ugh.
This one is interesting because it almost seems near impossible to ignore it because this girl was hospitalized for
3
like
weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
What does that, you
Some
know?
kind of odor did
Kind of
something.
Noxious
I'm kind of
fumes.
like, why didn't they test that more?
Yeah.
If they could find what was in her lungs or find out what was going on. I
Yeah.
don't know
I
how
don't know if
that's
they-
possible.
I mean,
Super could. It was like a town of
Maybe.
300.
yeah. Well, yeah, and
True.
and this is like in the
Uh,
50s, late.
This is
Late 50s?
1952, so
Okay,
early
early
50s.
50s. Yeah,
So I
mean,
don't know if that much testing they had for
maybe it was exposure to asbestos, but because there was a lot
in
of
the
that.
middle of the woods.
Well, no, but like maybe like it had been
Or, like, in
before
the house.
Yeah, like in the house or something like
It
that.
just
like-
coincided with it.
yeah.
Okay, I see. I can see that.
Lead paint, asbestos, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our motto. Lead paint, asbestos.
It's everywhere.
It's
It
everywhere.
was everywhere.
It
was
was.
everywhere.
It shouldn't be, but it was, and it might be everywhere.
Now that we have discussed the sightings, it's time to examine the theories. Our first theory is that the Flatwoods Monster was a hallucination. The thing to note is the noxious gas seeming to be around the creature. Some believe this gas could have helped to distort the night for people. It's possible they saw the eyes of an owl and merely created the large, shiny monster in their heads. This theory, however, does seem to be on shaky ground as far as the chances of people imagining such an odd creature.
Okay, so this is kind of reminding me a little bit of the Dover Demon.
Okay.
When we kind of theorized that might have been like a mass hallucination sort of thing.
Yeah, like it's just
Like-
something that people made up.
Yeah,
in their
and
mind.
then people jumped on the bandwagon and things like that.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this is that we have the boys that saw like the falling star and saw the crater and the thing, and but then it's only after that that we get the stories of before.
That's true, yeah.
And it's only after that description of the creature that is, that comes out, that these people start to come forward with their stories. And so I wonder if it's one of those, power of suggestion things, where
be,
it's
yeah.
just like, oh, these boys saw this thing. That's kind of like what I saw. yeah, that's definitely like what I saw. Oh my gosh, and there was a lizard man inside. Yeah.
One, I could also see if you heard that, oh, these boys saw this giant metal thing with glowing eyes, and you saw glowing eyes in the woods the other day. So in your brain, you're like, oh, I saw it too, even though you never saw the body, but you just saw the glowing eyes, but you're like, well, it must be the same thing.
And it's all accompanied by this really weird smell. And so, like, I wonder if there was some sort of, like, you know, geothermal activity that was happening or something like that. Something opened up and really
know
bad sulfur smells or
Flatwoods,
whatever.
Virginia has that, but
Don't know.
I'm sure
Don't
there's
know.
like a septic tank or something that
It
could
was
have
the 50s.
burst.
Things were weird.
It's true, it was the 50s. Who knows what government testing was going on out there?
That's true. That's true.
I'm not skeptical. I just think that it could have happened.
You think
It's cool to think about.
I'm just
you
like,
know, if it did
honestly, I
happen.
feel like it could have happened. Maybe the other guy that drove his truck out there just like, hooked it on his ball hitch
Just
and
hauled it
dragged
away.
it off.
It's in his garage somewhere.
Yep.
Or the guy who drove up to investigate it later was the guy who put it there and then he took it away after.
That is part of the theory. Some people think the guy made it and put it out in the woods and then came and got it the next day.
Get some chicken wire, some aluminum foil. You
Yeah,
got
it
it
might have
you
been.
know?
Yeah. That's a
To be
good
fair, I don't
point.
think they stuck around long enough to like
No.
check and make sure it was made of steel and not
Yeah,
aluminum
yeah.
foil.
I mean, you don't want to stick around with something like
I mean,
that.
could you imagine you're like, oh, I gotta check if this is real, and it turns out that it is real, and you're not making it out of there.
True. But it moved.
It did.
It did
so
move.
just that, I mean, that's pretty tough to do
That's
Puppeteering
true.
is a
in
thing.
that ancient era.
They weren't cavemen, Josh. Puppeteering existed in the 50s.
Practically cavemen.
Well, on that note, let's jump into our next theory,
Okay.
because it kind of goes along with that.
Cavemen?
Our second theory is that the Flatwoods Monster was a hoax. Though many do not think it possible due to no evidence being left, it is still a possibility that someone created the large metal body and glowing eyes to play a prank on the townsfolk. Remember, there were tire tracks driving away from the location of the sighting, and that could possibly have been hauling away a large metal sculpture. So, we kind of already touched on it, but theory 2, somebody made it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is actually bringing up a memory for me. Unreal Encounters. Hear the weird stories about Lindsay's life. But I met a man once. I was in a really weird neighborhood for a little bit. This was in Washington.
Oh,
and
okay.
His lawn was just covered in metal sculptures. And like really funky looking stuff. Like a big, like, you know, sort of like gladiator looking thing that was like standing over the walkway and you walked between its legs and stuff. And so, I mean,
Like Colossus of Rhodes or something?
kinda, yeah, just like really big, like funky sculptures. And
Okay.
the dude also, you know, he had some interesting ideas about, you know, like Planet X coming to destroy the world and
Oh,
you know,
okay.
things like that. But anyway, it could have been a metal sculpture. I'm not discounting that.
I mean, I feel like it's not too far-fetched.
Totally.
I mean, I agree with you in the sense of, like, how did people make it up?
Yeah.
But I also kind of do lean towards that maybe somebody was doing something funny in the woods.
Yeah. And they did it on purpose,
Yeah.
so they
They
made
kinda-
it believable.
Yeah,
like
and so
you
they
should.
kind of
Welcome
did
to
it.
theater.
I mean, there's lots of crazy people that do all sorts of crazy things
yes, yeah,
and
it's true.
come up with all sorts of wacky stuff. Our final theory is that the Flatwoods Monster was real. Clearly, there were many people that saw this looming creature and ran away in fear. Many suggest that it could have been extraterrestrial that either crashed or was merely visiting. This would explain how it was able to be seen only for a few days and why the metal shell was never found. It would also explain the sighting where the couple claimed to have seen the creature's true torso.
Lizard men in the sewers.
Either the sewers or from space.
Or in the mountains.
Yeah, well, this is kind of a crossover from
Yeah,
our
yeah,
last
yeah,
season of
yeah,
Aliens.
Aliens.
But this one very much warrants that because, I don't know, it's kind of, although I hate to say it, it kind of is what we thought of Aliens in the 50s.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you were in the 50s, it was like, that's what we think of. I do find it funny how alien sightings always seem to coincide with the current thought process for what
Yes,
aliens look
indeed.
like.
Yep.
Whereas like our modern ones, it's like, oh, we think it's like this. And we see aliens like that.
Yeah. I wonder if like a lot of these people had been recently listening to War of the Worlds.
Possibly.
But, you know, don't know.
But yeah, what do you think of it being a real thing and not some...
I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
I have to agree, but
I mean, I don't think it is a real thing, but it'd be hecka cool if it was.
It would be very cool. I mean,
I'll put it that way, because
Yes.
realistically, if it was a real thing, whatever this alien being was, would have had to land here, crashed, and said, "Oh, well, I better fix the ship and get going."
Pack it up, get out of here.
it always
Yeah.
comes back to ET.
Oh yeah, they always want to get
Yes.
off this planet as soon as possible.
Yes.
This place sucks. I'm out of here.
Time
The
to move
government's
on.
crazy.
Like the top half falls out and it's going to pick it up and then the couple sees it and it's just distressed because it lost its top half. It's just going ouch, but they're like
I mean,
know?
yeah, to be fair, yeah, I think, yeah, no, that would be, yeah, just trying to get yourself back together in some couple. Although to be fair, that's kind of terrifying even,
yes.
Yes. Why do you think it was here
I don't know.
if it was an alien?
Maybe it's one of those like humans or space orcs kind of thing, and they came to like research us.
Oh,
Yeah.
and lost its top half somewhere
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah.
Crashed
And it
into
ran away because apparently humans are scary, and so gotta
Maybe
get
they don't
away.
want to get human diseases.
Yeah, or like a Monsters Inc. kind of thing, like if
Oh, yeah,
a
it could
human
just
can
be
like
a-
touch you and kill you immediately.
I don't
Yeah,
think any of the
something
humans
like
wanted
that.
to touch this thing.
No,
No,
the
not
smell
the
helps.
thing.
It's human repellent. It's,
Human
it's the really stinky smell.
Yep. The only thing I actually question now, thinking back on it, is they did see something falling from the sky. Those
Yeah.
two boys.
Yes, they did.
Now, that being said, unless the two boys were the culprit of it, realistically, that's the part I'm curious. I'm curious if whoever created this thing, if it was created, was able to make them believe something was falling from the sky
Right.
Yeah.
and mimic that type of
I had
situation.
a thought on that one while I was researching this, because the thought crossed my mind, because I was like, that is weird that like it coincided, and to make it a hoax, like, did the guy see the thing fall from the sky and be like, shoot, I gotta get the thing together? But then I
Today's the
remembered,
day!
like,
Fire up the tractor!
Last time
out
for test
there.
runs. This is the big show.
but
Just waiting for something.
just waiting for it. It's been in the garage for a month.
Sitting outside watching
But
the sky.
if you think about it, if you remember, we talked about there was 2 sightings days before, which means the creature was already around before whatever hit the ground.
Yeah.
So
Test
it
runs.
went out to go look at it. So if it was a hoax, it could be the guy was taking it out like to scare people, and then a meteorite hit the ground, and he was like, "Oh, this is it! Like, this is my moment."
Yeah,
And so
that's
he
a
went
good
out
point.
there and stuck it out there,
Maybe.
and maybe hoaxed it up. I don't know.
I mean, you gotta salute that guy. He was committed.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if it was a hoax, good job. It was incredible.
Confuse, don't abuse, and I think he did that really well.
I
Like
don't know. The girl
right.
went to the hospital.
that's
There was
true.
a little abuse
no,
in
yeah,
this
never
one.
mind. Never mind. I take it back.
there was a
Yeah.
little
Medical
abuse in this one.
concern.
But still, remember everybody, confuse, don't abuse.
Confuse, don't abuse.
Yeah.
This
Don't
is even
send
your-
little girls to the hospital. Don't
This
destroy
is
crops.
your seasonal PSA. I don't.
Yes.
No, actually, we have more things that abuse the rest of the season, so I'm not going to say. Confuse, don't abuse isn't going to apply again.
Yeah. But
And
it
don't let
also
little
needs to
girls
be-
do drugs.
Yeah, too. That too.
Or asbestos.
Or asbestos.
Falling objects from space will always get humans excited. We are always curious what may be falling from outer space and what may be out there. Whether or not there was a large metal monster in Flatwoods that day, it has left its mark on our world and has been featured in video games and films. One could say, if nothing else, it is alive in our very culture, unless one day we once again meet this strange visitor. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe so you know when the next one is coming. And we will see you in the next video. Stay curious.